Check, 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. All right, we're on there. We're on there. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good, bud. Doing good.
All right, buddy, I got everything on. You ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, let me get this started. All right, everybody on Facebook Live, got you there, and we got the network up, and let's get going.
Okay.
All right, welcome to this week's edition of the Unknown File Show, file number 17. Mr. John Zaffis, we're going to be having a really nice conversation. Looking forward to this for a long time, to be honest with you. Good to see everybody on Facebook. Hey, Eric Price over there in Illinois, how are you doing? We're going to have a lot of fun. If you are familiar with Amityville, The Conjuring, Haunting in Connecticut, he's all about that, and he's also had a TV show on the Travel Channel called The Haunted Collector. And we got a lot to talk about with John in the next hour. The show is brought to you in part by Revelton Distillery down in Osceola, Iowa. They are the official spirits of the Unknown File Show. Let's head over to the phones and say hi to our guest, Mr. John Zaffis. Hi, John.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good, sir. How's the weather out there?
Doing good. It's pretty warm out here, and we're on the coast here. We got those crazy wildfires that are happening up north, and we're catching some of the smoke down here. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, for the listeners, you're out on the northeast coast, right? Up in
Correct.
up in
Yep.
the New England area.
Yep. Connecticut. Yep.
Connecticut. Man, I'm a little jealous because not only do you have haunted pubs and stuff out there, but you got great seafood.
Yeah, that we do.
It's just not fair, John. Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you, Hank. Robert, good evening, everybody. Thank you for checking us out on Facebook Live. We appreciate that. If you have questions for John, just message me here on Facebook Live and be patient. I will ask John if you got a question about it. John, you've got I printed up. I went on your Wikipedia page and I hit print, and I think I used my whole what do they call them things? What's a book of paper? A raft?
Ream.
A ream. I think I used a whole ream of paper, man. It's just crazy. So you were born in 1955, a paranormal researcher born and based in Connecticut, United States. We just mentioned the Haunted Collector. You run the Paranormal and Demonology Research Center of New England, which you founded in 1998. You have over 40 years of experience as a paranormal investigator. Your research has taken you all over the United States as well as Canada, England, and Scotland. You got to protect the yard, John. You got to get out there and get the grass going, man. He lectures at colleges, university libraries throughout the United States, although usually not under academic auspices. That's too big of a word. I'm a redneck bow hunter, John. I don't even know what that means. Good for you. You've been all over the place.
Yeah, I can't complain. I guess I got to get in there and I better update that because I just last year I had hit the 50-year mark of being involved with the paranormal. So I guess I need to get that updated. But been around, done a lot, got involved with a lot, and it's definitely been in an interesting journey.
Well, let's go to the beginning. How did you get into this?
Well, originally, I was about 15, 16 years old, and at the foot of the bed, I had seen a shadow form. It was very transparent. Ran downstairs, told my mom about it, and she said, "Did he do anything?" I go, "No, he's just shaking his head back and forth." She goes, "Well, Johnny, that was my father. You died. He passed away when you were 4 years old. You're not going to remember him." But he was a very stern man. He didn't say much, but he would always shake his head back and forth. Then a few days afterwards, my grandmother passed away, and she had lived with us.
Uh-huh.
So that really got me going, thinking about how people say, so many times when people are near death, they see a death, a lot of dead people from their family or friends come back to help them cross over. So started digging in, started researching, I talked to my uncle Ed Warren a lot about it and went into depth over it, and it was a running joke with him. He goes, "You didn't believe all the ghost stories?" I go, "No, not at that point, though. I had that experience. I thought you were just doing it, making a quick buck."
What did he say? What did he say to that?
He just busted out laughing. But again, that's when I started getting involved with it and started researching, and it ended up taking me down that road of getting involved with this work.
Well, I got to tell you, I came familiar with you when I saw the Hunting of Connecticut. That's where I first heard of you a long time ago. I'm 59, John, so I've been, I kind of grew up reading about your aunt and uncle, and then stuff. But that whole thing, that one investigation scared the crud out of me. To be honest with you, and you had one of the, and I don't want to, I guess it's been out long enough, I'm not spoiling it, but you had something happen to you that, I mean, it really shook you up, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Again, that was a monumental case, with me in my career. What are we, 30, 35 years now, I believe?
Yeah.
Ago when that actually happened. And that's when I really, took that turnabout with it. Since, I was sitting in the dining room, jotting down notes, got up, walked out in the hallway, seen something coming through. There's 4 or 5 different situations that transpired in that case. And this had come down the stairs. It was murky. It had a foul odor to it. And it said, "Do you know what they did to us? Do you know what they did to us?" At that point, all I could think was to get my keys to get out of that house. I would not talk to anybody for 3 days afterwards. Very good friend in the family that was a bishop called, and he goes, "John, nobody knows what happened because you won't talk to me." So I told him everything that happened, and I said, "That's it. I'm done with this work." And he goes, "Oh, are you going to let it win?" And I go, "Well, what do you mean by that?" He goes, "Its intent and purpose was to scare you enough so you wouldn't do the work or help people anymore. So you're going to let it accomplish it if you don't get it back, you don't get back involved with it." He was right. So I did make that decision, got back involved. The exorcism was performed. The family ended up moving out, and pretty horrific case because it really shook me to the core where I was making that decision on whether I really even wanted to stay involved with the demonology and part of this work or not.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Outdoor Call Radio Network. If you're just joining us, I know this is an outdoor hunting and fishing network, but we're hunting ghosts and the paranormals on Wednesday night and on 7 o'clock. So if you're joining us for the first time, you're not missing, you didn't get on the wrong app or the wrong station. We just started this show in January, and we hope you enjoy it. Something different to talk about, and we've really been having a lot of fun with it since we started the Unknown Files in January. If I remember that right, John, that was a young man that he came down with cancer, and then was it a single mom or was it a I can't remember was it a whole family, but the son had cancer, wasn't it, or leukemia?
Yes, it was a whole family, the mom and dad, Carmen and Al, and they had 4 kids, plus they had custody of a couple of nieces. The oldest son, Philip, had cancer. They kept traveling back and forth from New York, upstate New York, into Connecticut for the treatment. They finally relocated into Connecticut, and the house that they ended up renting was an old funeral home.
Right.
And once they moved in, the oldest son, Philip, was the one that was experiencing the most in the house until he was actually removed. Once he got removed from the house, everybody started experiencing things. That's when Ed and Lorraine got involved, and that's when I got called in to do the research on the case.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, I mean, when you start seeing stuff like that or hearing stuff, was that your first? I know you saw the thing when you were little at the foot of your bed, your grandfather. But I mean, when you start, was that your first big thing, or was Amityville or The Conjuring before that?
Well, I did not work on the original Conjuring. I've been in that house about 10 times since. Actually, just a couple of days ago, I was in the Conjuring house.
Okay.
With a group of people out there. Amityville, I did not work on the original case either, but fortunate enough to be able to lecture several times over the course of the years with George Lutz, that got to know Kathy, and today Chris Lutz, I'm very good friends with him. But those cases are very monumental, and I remember them very clearly, and a lot of the different things that were occurring and happening. Now, Amityville, if I ever knew that case was going to turn into being known worldwide, the way it is today, boy, oh boy, would I have done everything I could have gotten on that one.
Well, I mean, that thing's, they still talk about that house. And that was with the DeFeo family. That was a tragic situation. Did they ever figure out if the son Ronnie, did they ever figure out if he was possessed, or did the Catholic Church or anybody ever come to a conclusion on that? Because you never really hear what was the outcome of all that.
No, because unfortunately Ronnie kept switching around with different things and different versions of the story.
Okay.
So do we know, whether or not he was truly possessed or not? No. But we do know, that there were clergy that were involved with that case. They had gone in and blessed that house several different times. There was indeed a red room underneath the staircase in the house that did exist, and there were several people that did come forward and basically say that Butch was involved with practicing different things. So again, you look at it and you line up a lot of those things. It makes you take that step back and realize some of these types of things do occur, do happen when somebody's under possession and they just don't remember it all.
Yeah. What was your first experience with the church, with people that actually from the church that did exorcisms and stuff like that? I mean, did you get to meet the people that were doing the investigations from the church? I mean, how did you? I mean, I don't know I don't know if I could have wrapped my head around all that or what I would have thought about that. What was your experience like with that?
Again, we're going back so many years. Ed and Lorraine were already involved and very much networking with the Roman Catholic Church and several other religions.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate, very, very fortunate, that I look back at it now, that, sometimes when they'd get involved with something, I would go with them, watch, exorcisms being performed, watching deliverances, a lot of different methods, a lot of different things, and seeing and witnessing it. And that's what made me become a absolute believer in these things, because I would take a step back and go, all these different cultures and belief systems believe in this and have the rights to do things to help people. There's got to be something to all of it.
Yeah.
So it was early on that I seen and witnessed some of these things. I mean, it's not often, you would take a ride up to your aunt and uncle's house and they'd be sitting in their living room having a meeting with several priests who were talking about different cases and exorcisms they were working on. So, again, seeing and witnessing that different stuff at a very young age is what actually made me focus and take that big step back and realize that there was so much out there that we just don't understand.
Why does it seem like New England's got so much paranormal activity? Is it because that's where the country was founded, and was it when the Pilgrims came over and with the Native Americans? I mean, where does all this activity come from?
Well, I believe, again, that everything is haunted. There's nothing that really isn't. The New England area, especially with the original, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut,
yeah.
Rhode Island, we have these 200- and 300-year-old pieces of property. Thus, you're going to have a lot of activity. But again, I would say there isn't too many places, especially all the way up from the top of the United States all the way down to Florida, that I haven't seen a lot of paranormal activity, definitely.
Is it just?
But I think it's because we got the older, the oldest established buildings and things of that nature that contribute to a lot of the activity transpiring here in the New England area.
Is it just residual energy? It's as much as, I mean, is that what most of it is?
I definitely would say it's a combination of everything.
Okay.
You could have the residual. That's what I look at as far as certain things that reoccur continuously over and over, like
a
battlefields.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things. Gettysburg. Again, typical type of scenario where that's how I would look at that. You have the other situations where you can have a 200 or 300-year-old house, nobody's had any problems with it. Boom, somebody can move in, and all of a sudden they start having paranormal activity. So
Right.
again, you have to look at things from a lot of different values and ways to interpret things to figure out what you're going to do to be able to help somebody out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, energy never really dies, right? It just goes to someplace else.
Correct. Energy can never be destroyed.
Right. I mean,
Absolutely correct. Yep.
I mean, energy's energy. Shadows of the Dark was your first book. I think that was published back in '04, if I remember right.
Yes.
Is it what was that? What's that book about, and how did you get going on that?
Well, that was Brian McIntyre at the time. He was interested in investigating and getting involved with different things. So at that point, he started writing up different things, and he had presented me with the manuscript, and I sat and read it, and I was amazed by it. So he had worked on a few of the cases in the book with me at that point in time, and following in my footsteps and watching what I was doing is how he came about writing that whole book and pulling it together. Today, Brian McIntyre actually became the Greek Orthodox priest. He went from being a non-believer to becoming clergy. Figure that one out.
Well, that's pretty cool. Hi, Susan. Good to see you in Missouri. Hey, Rick Johnson in Arizona. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you guys. Thanks for watching tonight. John, so when you go to like these areas, I mean, and forgive me because you've probably forgotten more in your pinky than I'll ever know about all this stuff. I grew up on a lot of the lore and legends and everything. But like in the New England area, these pubs and stuff where you see glasses shattering, or you see like furniture moving around and stuff. Is that more like an intelligent haunting, or is it poltergeist? I mean, that stuff happens quite more than what you think with all the security cameras and stuff. People can go back and, I mean, it's amazing what they're catching on some of that stuff.
That's one of the best things about our technology today, because there's cameras all over, surveillance, and, it goes 24/7. So they're able to capture some of the best evidence I've ever seen, just like what you were saying, especially with the bars or the pubs over in England, those old established places. It's amazing some of the footage we see that they capture on TV today. But I think a lot of times with this, not only is it residual, but it has an intelligence to it, and I think it's also ties in with certain people that work in these locations that could trigger certain type of activity. Even though some of the stuff that's captured, people aren't around at that point in time, I still believe that things can build up. And it still needs us, because we're like batteries, and it draws on that energy. And then later on, it could do some of the different things, like make glasses fly, or, chairs thrown across in pubs and different things of that nature.
Now, you and Michelle went over to. Did you guys go to Greece yet, or are you doing that here real quick?
Greece is moved into next year. We were going to do it in September, but we had postponed it for this year and moved it into next year.
Okay, but you guys have been like to Ireland and Scotland and England and stuff. You got, if I remember.
I have.
Yeah. Okay.
I have. I've been to. I know Michelle's been to a couple of those places, but England, Scotland. I've been there twice, and both different times I've been there, spent 2 weeks each time.
Okay.
And yeah, over in the other countries, they view paranormal activity totally differently than what we do here. Over there, it's accepted and looked at differently than here. People get scared and everything. People over there, if you don't have a ghost in your house, there's something wrong with you.
Well, no, it's part of the family.
Right.
Yeah. See, my family's little. I've got Scottish and Irish and something else. I'm a mutt. But I know that I've always wanted to go over to Scotland and just see some of the castles and stuff. And I just the catacombs, and I'm a little jealous of you to get to do that. I'd like to do that, and especially some parts of the Highlands. That's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. Going into these places that are 1,000+ years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no way you're not going to have some type of activity or have something that's going to occur. I mean, it's just there. I mean, you stop and think about all the tragedies, the murders, and the dungeons, and all these other places with castles and places like that. You're definitely going to have activity. So they're definitely cool to be able to check out.
Okay, now I got to ask you: have you been to the London Tower?
No, that's one place I have not been, because with the last time we were there, we were scheduled to go, but we had trouble with the traveling, so we had to take it off our bucket list.
Yeah.
Next time I go out there, I am definitely going.
Well, that's like where Mary Queen of Scots and stuff got executed, and all the Henry VIII, and was that where he took care of all his wives and stuff? Wasn't that the Tower of London?
Yeah, a lot of people. Well, tons of people. Well over 1,000 years worth of people being executed or lived there, or all kinds of crazy things there.
Have you ever talked to anybody? Do they got security systems in that building, or those tunnels and stuff? Have you ever talked to anybody? See what they see?
I became friends with a few different people that are, part of taking care of those historical places over there. Mm-hmm. They are forbidden to bring a lot of that out to the forefront or to talk about it. But the stories that they will tell you on one-on-one when you have conversations with them, it blows your mind with.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Yeah, I can't even imagine what's floating around there. I've seen stuff on TV, John, but when it comes to TV, you just don't know what is CGI, or you know what I'm saying. You don't know what's real and what's not sometimes. But I think when you guys have documentation and you're out there lecturing and stuff, I give that a little more validity. Are you okay, John?
Yeah, I'm okay, buddy. So, I went to say something.
No. Well, no, I want you to be okay. Hi, Paul Kelly. Good to see you. Thanks for watching tonight. We appreciate you. All right, let's get back to, I'm going to get back to the States now. How did Haunted Collector come about?
Well, that started off with, originally we were just going to do the museum and some of the items in the museum and talk about the stories, and then it just developed in, well, they thought it'd be a cool idea to go out and be able to check different cases and different locations that possibly have haunted items. Because the running joke with that is people say, geez, every episode's about a haunted item. I go, yeah, it's called Haunted Collector.
Right.
So we're not going to be doing possession cases on it. But what you do is people submit. We had a whole bunch of people submitting about if they thought there was a possibility they had something in their house that was causing the haunting, and that we go and investigate it. And that's how that all came about. And it for 3 seasons, it was pretty cool to be able to do it and travel around and check out a lot of these haunted items that are out there.
Now, did you guys, and forgive me for not knowing this firsthand, I'm being very upfront with you. I never got a chance to, I think I've seen a few episodes of it. John, I'm usually filming hunts in the woods and stuff. I'm doing outdoor shows on TV and radio, so I don't get to watch as much TV as I used to. But did you guys ever do anything with like what was in your aunt and uncle's collection? Did you do any stories on that?
Well, no, that would be totally separate.
Okay.
Collector, yeah, that Haunted Collector was about me and my family and my museum and my collection. So it was totally separate. So again, no, totally separate.
All right. Well, no, I didn't know, buddy. I just thought I'd ask because I won't ask you what the next question was, and I'm sure you probably could guess what it was. So
no, feel free.
No, my wife wants to know what's the real scoop on Annabelle.
Oh, well, I'll gladly talk about it. I have no problem talking about it. Annabelle, the original story, dates back to the very early 70s. It's about 2 nurses. One of their moms had bought the rag doll for her as a gift. The young ladies started treating it like a little child, dressing it up, putting jewelry on it and everything. And at one point in time, they sat down and they were playing the Ouija board with Annabelle sitting there, and it spelled out Annabelle. Well, then shortly after that, a lot of activity started occurring. A lot of different things started happening. One of the girls' boyfriends got scratched and attacked. They had called in their local minister. The minister came in. He called in Ed and Lorraine, and Ed and Lorraine had removed the Annabelle doll. Now, it's alleged that a young girl named Annabelle got killed outside of this apartment building, run over by a car, and they felt that that was one of her spirits that was inhabiting it with the summoning of other spirits that inhabit Annabelle. So again, it's a pretty intense case. Unfortunately, the movies just went very rampant and went way off of from what the actual case was about.
Yeah, they Hollywood license, is that what they call that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So on going back to the Conjuring house, and from everything that all the research and stuff that I've done, which again, you can take that and put it in a bag of salt as far as I don't know what I'm doing, but just a lot of the hair pulling and stuff was real. I mean, what do you know, or did you ever hear? I mean, you were just there. What did they say actually did happen? And I know 90% of it was Hollywood. So,
well, yes, with the movie, but the original case was the Perron family. It was 5 little girls.
Yeah.
And the mom and dad, they did live there for 10 years. A lot of activity. I'm very good friends with the oldest daughter and Roger Perron. I've lectured with Annie Perron, Andrea, many of times over the course of years. Now, what did occur and happen in there? Yes. I mean, you had 5 young girls that got pushed, shoved, their hair pulled. There were shadow forms in there. There was a tremendous amount of activity. Now, I was just honestly in there this past Saturday evening with a couple of paranormal groups that had gone in there. They invited me to come up. So I had gone up and wasn't disappointed. Anytime I've ever gone into that house, there's always paranormal activity.
Did you see something or hear it, or what happened?
They recorded several different voices with tape recorders and different things in the dining room area. But the most activity we had was down in the basement where the old well was, and where there's a lot of reported activity. I mean, actually, anybody that goes on Facebook or knows me, just you go on there and look, and there's several different postings up there from this past Saturday with some of the information and some of the recordings that a couple of the researchers did capture in there. So, again, it's one of those houses, there's no doubt in my mind that there's definitely activity. Do I think that it's just associated with the house? No, I think it has a lot to do with the land, the house, and several other things just tied all in one that causes a lot of the activity in that building.
When the family left, did it stop or did it follow them?
Well, there's reported several different things that the alleged person that had purchased it, which I became friends with her also, she claimed there was no activity in there, but she ended up calling in ghost hunters, Jason and Grant. I don't know if you're familiar with ghost hunters.
Oh, no, I know who they are. Yeah, I've never talked to them, but I don't know who they are. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they did an episode up on the farm several years back and called and asked if I'd like to join them because the owner had called them in, and we were all there, and they did an episode, and we had a ton of activity. So, again, I don't think the activity just totally went away or anything like that, but, again, with certain people, it could trigger certain things. So, the running joke is, and anybody that knows me, I always say with the Perron family that lived there, well, if you had 5 girls and 5 girls were all reaching that point where they were all going through puberty, you're going to have a lot of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
So, again, that I think triggered a lot of it also, too.
How did you, I know you did some stuff on Unsolved Mysteries. How was that experience for you?
Good. That was the Michael Jones case. One of them that was very prominent where the little boy kept having trouble. He kept having spirits attached to him and everything, and a couple of different exorcisms have been performed over him. And he was able to basically free him from some of the things that were going on and happening.
So I got a couple listeners. One says if they do decide to go on some of these ghost adventure trips, what do they need to do to make sure they don't bring anything back home with them? Well,
people often ask this, and again, too, you've got to prepare yourself because you never know what's going to happen. If you're going to go, you're going to get involved with it. Something could happen, or it could be very quiet. There's certain people that just don't experience things. There's not 100% guarantee on anything or anybody that, you might have something that'll follow you, or you might have some paranormal activity occur with you. It's the nature of it. If you get involved with it, sooner or later something's going to happen. But I always tell people, whatever your belief system is, always call upon the positive to be able to help protect yourself. Mine is Roman Catholic. I believe very strongly in prayer, so that's what I invoke when I go into a lot of these locations.
Okay. That's a good question. I get that question quite a bit, John, when we talk about ghost stories and people doing investigations. They want to go, they're curious, but they're scared about what they might bring home. I get that probably every other show when we talk about something paranormal.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, too, and that's why I'm very, very honest about that, because like I say, it's sooner or later, something could end up happening. There's no guarantee that nothing will never ever happen. It's just the nature of it. And that's why I'm very open and candid about it. I know people that could go to 10, 15 places, nothing happens at all, and then they'll go to one location and something will finally happen, and boom, that's it. They stop ghost hunting.
Yeah, I've actually had at the other house that I owned. I had a studio downstairs, and I was doing my little Facebook TikToks, or before TikTok was out, it was Instagram and stuff. And I'd be doing my little vignettes, and then I'd hear something pop, and then I wouldn't see it with my eye, but I was looking forward in the camera. You know how it is when you're taping stuff, you're looking right into the camera. Well, my big iMac was, I could see I could see what the camera was seeing, and I had something float right across my left shoulder. It came out of the wall, and it looked like a ribbon. An expanding ribbon, and it contracted, went right across my shoulder into the wall in front of me. Now, I never seen it with my naked eye, but I said, and I'd look at the camera, I said, "Did you see that?" And I got the video still. It happened 3 times. I lived there for 7 years, and I never could debunk that. I had no airflow down there. I would take I don't know, John. I don't know if you've ever hunted or not, but we use wind indicator, little fibers that we let out and let the wind. It shows us what the wind direction are. They're like a little dandelion floaty. You know what those dandelion floaties look like?
Yes.
Okay, it looks just like that, only it's a little microfiber. So I've used that, and it just went straight down. I mean, it did not float or fly or anything. It just went straight down. And I've used dust particles, and it did the same thing. They would not move. But I never could debunk what that was, and I know it wasn't a bug, because I would have seen the bug. Mm-hmm. It's weird. I don't know. It's just some of that stuff you just never know, right?
No, we just don't. Again, too, one thing too, a lot of times people could have one experience in their lifetime, and it's something that will stay with them because they try to determine and figure out, did it really occur or did it really happen? Which isn't unusual, because I've talked to many people, they'll be in their 20s or 30s, have an experience, have something happen. They've tried to check everything logically out, and they were never able to, but they still take that step back and go, was that something paranormal?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It's crazy. And then same place, the building inspector, you know how you get your house inspected before you close on the house?
Yes.
So the inspector and I were downstairs. The basement was totally unfinished. It was the septic, or the what do you call that, where the water goes down, and if you're in your base, sub pump. It was the sub pump. It was my furnace and my air conditioner furnace or whatever, and then that was it. Everything else was wide open. And we're sitting there talking. He was talking to me about the walls, and then I heard a cat. I mean, this cat goes meow. I mean, like right next to us. And I looked at him. I said, "Did you hear that?" He goes, "Yeah, it was a cat." I said, "There's no cat here." And we walked around. There was no cat there. And then I moved in. I finished off the basement. I put inside tiling in, so in case we had any kind of water, everything was going to stay dry downstairs and stuff. And then I'm sitting there. I met my wife, and then we got married, and she moved in. And I was downstairs doing the radio show, and I built her a bathroom down there. And I was just watching the monitor and stuff, because I was on a commercial break, and I looked over and I saw a cat walk into the bathroom. And now she had a calico cat at the time, John, but this was a white cat. And I went upstairs, and her cat was upstairs with her. And it's like, I just saw a cat. So, and there was no cat there, John. So that's a couple of things that happened in my life. It's like, okay, something's going on. So, but we moved, so nothing ever followed us or anything. But that was really weird, man.
Yeah. Again, I believe very strongly in the fact of animal spirit. So again, there's a possibility that something was occurring, or there was a spirit of a cat going through the house. Could very well be, especially when you remodel or you start doing anything, you add on. It could disturb something that could cause paranormal activity to start happening, and there was never anything there before. So you never know. It could have just been one of those quirky type instances.
Well, it would make my day if my yellow lab was able to hang out with me. Yeah, because he passed away a couple of years ago. I would love to see my yellow lab again. I miss him. Yeah, it's
well. Most of our pets are like our kids, anyways.
Oh, yeah. There's no like. It is our kid. Now, my wife. Are you, John? But if it came between me and the dog we have now, I'm out of luck, Chuck. Hey, are you still doing Paranormal Nights Radio?
What do you mean?
In your bio, it says you're a co-host of Paranormal Nights Radio Show.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I haven't done that in years.
Oh.
Geez, I guess I better get in there and update that. Huh?
Hey, I'm just asking you because we need as many broadcasters as we could get. Hi, Brant. Thanks for watching tonight. We appreciate you. Thank you for that. We need as many broadcasters as we can. We can get out there. I've been doing John. I've been doing radio shows. This is it'll be my 26th year on the air, and
wow.
Yeah, and it just shows you mediocrity can make it.
Fantastic.
That was a joke, John. You should laugh. I'm trying to get you to laugh. So, give me your top 5. What is your top 5 cases that you've personally been the lead on, or that you are still investigating in your area? Can you give me 5? How about the top 3?
Well, I would say, again, haunting in Connecticut always remains way up on the list of cases. Another case that I worked on several years back, where a woman, it took 16 exorcisms to be able to free her, and after the 16th one, worked on that case for 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, that was a pretty intense case. Today, I don't spend as much time directly involved with the cases because I don't think it's so good to get too wrapped up and tied in with them. I'm working on a couple of cases right now. One's an older home where they started renovating. I've been working on this for about 6 or several months. And they keep having several different spirits come through. And each time that we've gone to go investigate it, they really haven't nothing really occurred while we were there.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, with some of that, it's you just don't know what to expect or whether it's going to happen. And then there's always the old ones that go to, like I did recently this past Saturday night, because if you're going to go there and you're going to be with people, you're going to get activity, and that's the Conjuring House.
Okay, all right, John. I usually take about a 6-minute break, but we're only going to have about 20 minutes left with you if I do that. So I got to get a couple like 2 or 3 commercials in here, and then we're going to come right back. Is that all right?
No, it's perfectly fine, sir.
You go get you a glass of tea or a beverage of your choice, and we'll be right back. Hang on, don't go nowhere, okay? Hey, folks, we'll be right back after these fine words from our partners. It's the Unknown Files Show with Mr. John Zaffis tonight. We'll be right back. Don't flippy floppy. We'll be right back.
Let's talk about a story, an Iowa story about a dream that took several years to come true in Osceola, Iowa. It's the story of Revelton Distilling Company.
What's up, everybody? It's good stuff tonight.
Gins and vodkas were born from the labor of Rob and Christina Taylor.
You got questions, let me know.
Descriptions of how unique each bottle looks and how each spirit tastes and satisfies with every sip. From the honey whiskey to the whiskey and cream, or the robust mulberry gin, American gin, or vodkas. Revelton Distilling visitors can't believe the flavor profiles the mixologists are creating at the distillery every day. Revelton Distillery is open Wednesday through Sunday in Osceola. They're located at 1400 West Clay Street, right off I-35. Revelton Distillery fine spirits are also available at your local grocery and other retailers around Iowa. Please check them out online at ReveltonDistillery.com or visit them at the distillery. If it's time to celebrate or just time to sit back and unwind, well, then it's time for a Revelton moment.
Heading on your next adventure and looking for some snacks to take? Why not pack a snack that tastes great, gives you protein, and is easy to pack? Have you heard of Soldier Boy beef jerky? Soldier Boy jerky is slow smoked in small batches to ensure generous, tender morsels that taste outstanding. Soldier Boy beef jerky offers the following flavors: sweet heat, original, maple, or peppered flavors that will satisfy you all day in the field. Soldier Boy beef jerky is veteran-owned and proud supporters of the Canines for Warrior Foundation.
I hear that, Mike.
Also donate to troops that are deployed.
I told you he's a nice guy.
So next time you're looking for snacks from home or on your next outdoor adventure, please remember to reach for some Soldier Boy beef jerky, available at Sportsman's Warehouse. Soldier Boy beef jerky, outstanding taste that keeps you satisfied in the field. For more information, please check us out online at www.sbjerky.com. You're heading out on your morning hunt well before sunrise, so you can stay undetected from that giant you've been chasing all season. Wouldn't it be nice to know exactly where your stand or blind location is without letting anyone know where you're at walking in? Have you ever heard of Onyx? Onyx is one of the most important pieces of hunting gear that you can use and always have with you. The Onyx Hunt app allows you not only to get from your truck to your hunting spots, it also allows you to mark and save your parking spots, scrapes, food plots, rub lines, or some possible next stand locations. The Onyx Hunt app is also a great way to see your property and know where you stand. Onyx is a mobile app that you can take anywhere. It's recognized by game wardens all around the country as a valuable hunting tool. So, if you want to always know where you are and have the ability to save information that will help you be a better hunter, go download the Onyx Hunt app at your app store today. All right, welcome back to Unknown Files, file number 17, Mr. John Zaffis. Tonight we're talking about ghosts and some of the investigations he's been doing for 50 years all across the world, actually. I was going to say the U.S., but he's been all over the place. John, you still there?
I'm here, bud.
How's the lobster roll?
Pretty good, not bad.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to get out there and have one of them one of these days. I'm going to do that. So, Malachi Martin, I've read a lot of stuff about him 25, 30 years ago. It seemed like just a super, super nice man. That had to have been just a treat for you to meet and get to know him.
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to be able to do a couple of cases for him up here in the New England area, and worked with them on a few, and was around him when he lectured several different times. Wealth of knowledge, a good understanding of, the part of the work that we do when it comes into the demonology end of it. So it was it's very important to work with people and get those relationships established, because they can teach you knowledge that you can't find in a book, or just things that, you wouldn't ordinarily think about. So, having that opportunity to work with him and get to know him, again, I'm very glad that happened. Yep.
Yeah, Mike Chesla said to tell you hi. He's a big fan.
Tell him I said hi back.
You just did. You just did. He heard you. He just did. Now he was a bishop, right? Bishop Martin.
Not that I'm aware of. He wasn't a bishop.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, he had left the Roman Catholic Church. It went rogue, as they call it.
Well, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Like I told you, I'm piecing different things together here. But wasn't he involved in the case in St. Louis?
Martin might have been. Not that I'm aware of, though.
Okay, I'm talking.
There was a lot of people involved with that. A lot of priests.
Yeah.
And a lot of different clergy. We get involved with that case. Going back and forth, helping different people out. But to my knowledge, I do not, because you're talking about The Exorcist.
Yeah, I'm talking about the original one Blatty wrote about. Yeah, it was
right.
it was at the old Alexian Brothers Hospital. But It didn't start out there. They moved. It was a young boy, and they moved him there. It wasn't right away. They tried to do stuff where he was from on the East Coast, and then they moved him to St. Louis to do. That's where it supposedly finished.
Correct.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, and that was a bizarre case. The way that one finished was the simple fact of they kept doing exorcisms and nothing was working over the little boy. And the very last attempt, a priest had gone in, did some prayers, brought in a little St. Michael statue, placed it down, and everything broke.
Really?
Which was, completely bizarre. And again, sometimes with these types of cases, you just never know. So, and that young man basically never went public, would never talk about it or anything. He had moved, and he just passed away a few years back, as a matter of fact. And I believe it was in upstate New York where he was living when he passed away.
Gotcha.
And that was, like I said, just a few years ago. But if Malachi was directly involved with that, I'm not 100% aware of that.
Okay, I could be wrong. I'm going back off my memory, John, and my memory is not as good as it used to be. Trust me. So, but I remember Art Bell and George Norrie talking about Malachi. I thought he was a bishop, but I could be wrong about that too.
Well, I could be too.
Well, hey, you're more of an expert on this than I am, huh? It's good. So, all right, you got a new book coming out, Walking Between the Realms. Tell us about that.
Yes. That's fantastic. The last couple of books that we had put out, I did them in conjunction with Debbie and Larry Elwood. The three of us have worked together for about 42, 43 years now. And Debbie goes in and pulls the stories together and talks about a lot of the different cases and different things that we worked on. But I love the way she does the storyline on the cases, because she tells you about the case, the history, what happened with the family, what happened with us, what the conclusions were. And she goes into pretty much, into things that you normally just don't see when people do stories on. So it's something that, I'm very proud of that she does, and the way she creates it and pulls it together. She talks in there about several different people. She paid a lot of tribute in this book to the women in the paranormal. She talks a lot about Rosemary Ellen Guiley. She talks about Lorraine Warren. So, there's a lot of people that she's given credit to, and a lot of different topics and different things that are covered in this last book that we did together.
Yeah. What's one of the experiences or cases that you've went on that was a positive case? I know everybody kind of dwells on the negative and the demonic and stuff, but what about something paranormal that was a positive? Like it was somebody that someone's loved one that just came to see them or check on them, that it was a residual thing or it had an intelligence to it. Have you ever been on something like that?
Oh, tons of them. Tons of cases. Human spirit cases are probably just as fascinating as people being possessed. But one thing you always get, people don't want to ever hear about the good cases.
I do.
This one case is a great case. It was up here in the New England area.
Yeah.
Actually, it was at a college. And they had put a new building up. And they started having tremendous haunting that took place in there. So we went in after I did my lecture and everything. We went in and did an investigation. About me and 15 of the kids went in there. And we were doing what we call a spirit communication. And we had found out that there was a little boy that had died on that property in a fire in a barn. And we were able to help because he was looking for his mother and father. He couldn't find his mother and father. And we were picking all this up on the spirit box, and the information was coming through. And we were able to help that little boy connect and to be able to cross over. And the crazy thing that happened with all that, considering it was a new building on campus, is that we had this bright light, and the building actually had a rumble after the little boy's spirit had crossed over.
Really?
So to me, stories like that, they're phenomenal and they're beautiful. Another one that comes to mind was this woman was a very well-known pianist and created quite a bit. she had passed away, lived here in the Connecticut area. The husband was putting the house up for sale, and he didn't even want to take the piano with him. He was going to sell it with the house. Well, a bizarre thing starts to happen. The piano just starts playing all on its own. Well, we go into investigate and everything. We bring the woman's name up, and we heard the piano playing and everything. And then we said, you know, at a point during the spirit communication with the spirit, you don't want him to sell your piano. You want to stay in the family. And the piano went totally crazy. Well, to me, that was a beautiful thing because he made the decision to keep the piano and keep it within the family. So he took it with him when they had moved out of that house.
It was part of her. It was part of her.
It was part of her, yeah.
Yeah.
And she did not want her piano sold off.
Yeah, that's kind of
yeah.
That's kind of neat. Mike says that the kid spirit stories creeps him out more than the demons do.
Yeah, because usually when you deal with children's spirit, it's a difficult thing. Why? Usually with kids, they're going to do what they want. They're going to, just run rampant, just like what children normally would do. So it can be difficult if a child spirit is not going to listen or cooperate, or they're just going to run rampant, running around trying to figure out what's going on and what had happened. So they can be very difficult to deal with.
Susan says angels can take on human form, John.
Correct.
Yeah, you're correct.
I do believe very strongly in the fact that the angelic has the ability to do that. They could come in and assist and help. When it comes into, because I refer to it as the angelic and the angels, when they intervene, you know when they're around. There's been several situations where I've worked on cases where I know it was the angelic that intervened. A big bright light would come through. It'd be blinding, and all the paranormal activity would totally stop. Well, the very first time that ever occurred with me, I remember telling a bishop in regards to it, what had happened, and he basically had said to me that was the angelic now, and the angels were intervening at that point in time, and I went, wow. And then it's happened maybe 4 or 5 times in my career when that's occurred. All the paranormal activity stops right after that happens, and I believe very strongly that it's the angels or the angelic that intervened at that point.
Susan says when her mother was dying, her grandmother showed up in the waiting room. My dad and both sisters saw her.
Mm-hmm. I wholeheartedly believe in that. Unfortunately, being around a few people myself, I remember when my mom was nearing the end there, she would tell me about my grandmother and some of the other family members that were showing up. And my mom did not believe in the paranormal. I shouldn't say she didn't believe in it, but she was petrified of it to the point where she would never even talk about it.
Right.
So when she started telling me about deceased loved ones coming around, I knew, and I believe very strongly. I remember my grandmother doing the same thing. So, but on the quirky, funny side of it, my father did not believe in anything, and just before he passed away, I was up there with him, and he was telling me, he goes, your mom's right there, my sister's right there, this one's there, and I looked at him and I go, you finally believe? And he went, ha-ha, gotcha. Nope.
That's funny. David says,
so he got me right up to the end.
David says hello from Silver Lake Resort at Custer State Park in South Dakota.
Hey.
He heard you. He heard you.
Okay.
Have you ever been out there? Now, that would be an interesting investigation, Custer's Last Stand.
No, I have not.
You need to do that. I would like to hear that one.
Yeah.
Have you ever read about that battle? That was crazy.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them are. When you get into it, you start reading about the different battles and battlefields and different things. It's no wonder there's a lot of hauntings in these areas.
Yeah. Susan said to tell you thank you. She appreciated that. She sent you a little heart emoji.
Very welcome.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I got to tell you, we got a few more minutes here. I knew this hour was just going to fly by, John. I want to thank you for taking the time out to visit with somebody, little old me, and to do the show. That means a lot, so thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, you're very welcome, sir. I appreciate being on. Thanks for having me on.
We got to get you back. Michelle, I need to catch up with Michelle. I finally slowed down on filming the TV stuff, so I need to get a hold of her. But she wants to do a show with you and her, so I'll try and get that scheduled up. What do you
Okay.
you got the book coming out? When's the book coming out?
Well, it just came out a couple of days ago.
Okay, so and they can get that on Amazon.
Yeah, they get it on Amazon or go on to johnzaffis.com and go on to my store page and can send you a book right there with the signature from all three of us that created the book.
Oh, now see, that would be a good keepsake. All right, hey, have you ever been into a lighthouse that was having some weird stuff going on?
Several of them. The most prominent one is the one in St. Augustine down in Florida. Been in there several times.
What was going on?
Tons of activity, especially in the little house that's on the property of the caretaker's house, as I'll refer to it. I remember we had all kinds of activity, and we had found out that there were definitely a few little children spirits that were associated with that property. But lighthouses are notoriously known to be haunted.
Okay. If someone's gonna start doing this stuff, and I bought a FLIR unit last year because we also cover Bigfoot, and I got some people telling me they've got Bigfoot that hang out on their place all the time. So sometime this summer, I'm gonna go out there for a couple nights and see if I can see anything on that FLIR. But hey, I gotta know. Hey, John, I used to be I love Bigfoot. I grew up on Bigfoot stories, and I used to be a kind of a skeptic because I'm in the woods 2,000 hours a year bow hunting for the last 35 years. I'm in the woods all the time. Never seen anything, never heard anything. But when I started doing this show and the research for this show last year, and I started talking to these I cannot talk tonight. Anthropology professors and anatomy professors, and they're talking about dermal ridges on the footprints that were from the 60s and 70s. There's no way to fake that. It's like a fingerprint on their foot. You know, your feet have like little fingerprint. They're called dermal ridges and stuff. Now, the stuff that they have out today with these 3D printers and stuff, you might be able to fake it now, but you couldn't have done that 40, 50 years ago. And that really kind of opened me up a little bit, John, to be honest with you.
Well, it's one of those mysteries that, again, I believe in it. I believe in it very strongly. Just, there's so many different things out there that you have to keep an open mind to it. I'm hoping sooner or later, somebody's going to get a skeleton or a carcass of a Bigfoot to be able to go, aha, we finally got it.
Well,
you just never know.
Between you and me, I told the guys I'm going to do the TV show, Respect the Game TV, for about another 3 years. I'll be 63 after that, and it's time to just do the radio stuff. When I do that, I'm going out. I met some people out doing the show and stuff from the Pacific Northwest, and they told me when I've got a couple weeks, we're going to pack in for 6 or 7 miles to some of these hot spots, and we're just going to primitive camp out there for a couple weeks and see what happens. I'm really looking forward to doing that, John, to be honest with you.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's an adventure, and it's definitely, something we're checking in. Well, I believe in the Loch Ness Monster. I sat there one night long, and waited patiently. Did it show up? Nope. But I was hopeful.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because when you go on a lot of these investigations and stuff, have you ever heard, I don't know if you've ever heard of the old slave house in Equality, Illinois. 25, 30 years ago, I actually got to go in there and take pictures, and it's a tragic story, but they don't let anybody in there anymore. But they used to have they brought people in on the Saline River, and they were enslaving them. It was horrible. But I actually I was up in the attic where they used to keep the folks up there, and my camera had full batteries, John, and this was back in the 35 millimeter days, regular roll film, and I wasn't up there 3 minutes, and my batteries all went dead. So I've had some weird things happen, but it is an adventure. But 90% of the time when you go do these things, it is quiet, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. You can go. And it's funny because sometimes I say, oh, we're going to get a lot of activity. We're going to have a lot happen on this case, and it can be totally quiet. go on a case, I'll go, I don't even know if we should even bother checking it out. And sometimes walk away with the best evidence.
Yeah.
So you just never, ever know. But like I said, a lot of times, you can go back and forth, especially working on a residential case and not have anything happen 2 or 3 or 4 different times that you're out there. And you hope sooner or later that you're able to capture something.
So before we close, if someone's wanting to get some gear to go, what would you recommend that they purchase that they might have a chance of seeing some activity with?
Well, the best thing I recommend to people when you're just starting out, get your little tape recorders, do EVPs. It's the best thing that you could possibly do. Take a lot of pictures, get acquainted with it, because I wouldn't go into any big hardcore equipment. I mean, there's plenty of apps and different things that you could download to your computer, your laptop or your phones or anything like that today to be able to just start off. But I would start off very, very basic when getting involved with this and just get used to it. Try to get used to the environment. I believe in, just basically starting at the basics when getting involved with this.
Okay. All right. If someone wants more information, John, about your activities, where they can see you or to buy a book, tell them again where the best way to do that is.
The best way to get a hold of me is johnzaffis.com or Facebook. Two of the most things that I check the most or go right onto both of those sites, send me a message or an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can with whatever you're trying to find out.
John, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on. Have a good night.
You too. Good night, sir.
Take care.
There he goes, John Zaffis. Really nice, fine feller right there. That is going to wrap it up for this edition of The Unknown Files, File 17, The Unknown with John Zaffis. We'll be back next week. If you got something going on or if you got something you want me to talk about or check out, outdoorsdan@mac.com. You can always go to theoutdoorcallradio.com and subscribe and send me a message that way as well, or hit me up on Facebook. Till next time, be careful out there. We'll see you soon. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate you watching. I'll have this up on the archives if you missed any of it. And if you need anything, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all on Saturday. Take care, everybody. Thank you.